What you're looking at now is a Blender application software of a digital set of a 20th century city somewhere in the UK. I downloaded and modified it to my needs, and I can move it around a bit. You can see multiple streets that I've put together and modified. Let me zoom in a bit, and we can start to see more detail. In changing to what we call a rendering mode, which is right now what we're looking at, is called a shaded mode. Changing to the rendering mode takes a few seconds. Now, magically, you begin to see a lot of details. You see color, you see texture. You can see it happened to be raining, so all of these kinds of environmental options are available. And I'm going to turn on, just to make it a little bit more UK-like, I'm going to turn on some fog. So you're seeing now a foggy city. And I'll go down into the city and get into position here. You can see here is a camera, and this camera is movable. I have it set to follow a particular panning that's required by the director, and I can do this on the timeline, so I can have it follow any precise timing and action that I wish. And we'll now go into the camera. This is the view that the camera will see, and in a few minutes I will show you how the completed scene would look. But this is becomes the background and foreground elements, as I'll explain in a minute. Now we will see how the green screen live action performers are composited as a layer on top of the digital set buildings. The live actors filming is on the left, and the composited layers are seen on the right. The layering is possible because anything that is green becomes transparent, like this. You can see it. The checkerboard in the background means transparency. And the other areas here are removed with another masking technique. While this sinks in, notice that as the video progresses, the camera is panning and moving, and that its motion is being tracked by the marks that are in the background here. And those marks are used to tell the camera in the digital set, not real camera, in the digital set, how to move. And if you watch closely, you'll see that this motion exactly matches what happens on the left side. The right side and left side do exactly the same thing with a little delay, but they are exactly the same. And this is the essence of green screen filming. So now that we know a little bit about green screen, the next question might be, well, how do you make the digital sets? In a complex scene such as you're seeing right now, there's many, many elements. And the simple answer is, as much as possible, you download from sources. Free if possible, but if you have to, you pay for them. And if you look in this Sherlock Holmes sitting room, there are many, many elements that I've had to acquire, and most of them I've acquired free, and they're are some specific sites that I like to use. I'll show you a couple of them. But like I said, the most important thing is to download as much as you can. And for example, in this scene, we have wallpaper, we have pictures, we have clocks, we have chairs, table, tea set, microscope, a sextant. We even have cloth used for the curtains, a rug, many elements. And so it's really important to learn how and where to get these materials. And you can see here many things. Let me back this up a little bit. All of these objects. Here's some test tubes and Erlenmeyer flasks, lamps. There's a deer back here, and photographs, etc., books. And all of these would take a great deal of time if you had to make them from scratch. And sometimes there is no choice depending on what it is you're trying to do. One of my favorite sites to download materials and models is Sketchfab. And I'll go to Sketchfab on my browser and show you what that's all about. I go to Explore, tell it to show me things to download, and then you can select from hundreds of thousands of models of almost anything you can think of. And for example, I'll type in tables and chairs, and we will get lots and lots of tables and chairs, which are many of which, in fact the majority of which in this case, are free. You'll see a dollar sign like this one has in the corner if you need to pay for it. And let me scroll down here and I'll select a table and chair set. When you do that, it brings up the table and chair set so you can examine it closely and you can manipulate it very nicely. And then you can download it directly into Blender. So let's go to Blender and we'll take a look. And here we are. The table and chairs came up in this little window. And now I'm going to download it into Blender. And we'll see the numbers there on the right indicating it's coming in, and there it is. It just came in. And now we can take a look at it and say, well, you know, I don't really like the way this texture is, you know. So let's see if we can change that texture. Well, I can use another very useful application. It's called Blender Kit, another download site, and it has hundreds of thousands of, well, tens of thousands of materials of all kinds, and models and scenes, a whole bunch of things. What we'll do is we'll select in the materials category from all these categories of things like bricks, concrete, floors, marble, ground, plaster, whatever you want. And in this case I'm going to select wood, and we get some wood coming up here. And let's say I wanted to, I like the texture and the color of this wood, and I can simply go and voila, it is there. And suppose I didn't like the way, exactly the way it looks like. The edges over here are kind of blocky. I could go in and do manipulations. I can see how the model is put together. I won't try to go through how I did that, but it's one key press. And I can see that the reason this model looks that way is because of these faces. And I can adjust them, and I could smooth this out and round it, and it doesn't take very long. I won't go through the details of that, but this is part of what you do with every object that comes in if it doesn't quite meet your satisfaction. So I can change the materials, I can modify the look, change the details, anything I want to do. Okay, now let's try a little bit more, get a little bit more feel for what this is like to get these elements. I have over here I think there's a Persian rug. Let's download that, coming from Sketchfab. It's loading in right now. And there it is. However, it is way up here. So I have to make some adjustments. And I think it's because the scale size is too large. So these are the kinds of things that you have to deal with when you're doing this. So we'll scale this down to by a factor of 100.01. So you have to do a little arithmetic sometimes. It's not too difficult. And there's the rug now. So we have now a fairly nice looking rug. And let's go see if we can find something else. Okay, now let's try some books. We'll load in these books. This one. And we're importing it from Sketchfab. And this one came in with no problem. And we just, all we have to do is position it the way we would like. See how it's casting proper shadows. And looks okay. The books around have a different orientation. So I'll do that around the Z-axis, which is that blue arrow you see right there. So let's say that's what we like. Now let's try something a little more daring. I have what they call a mansion interior. I'm going to load that in again from Sketchfab, and there it is. Okay, here we are. We've loaded in the mansion. I'm going to back out here so you can see it's quite large, and our table is right here where these axes are, and I'm going to take us to a room that's over here. And you can see I've now moved the table and chairs into this room, but it's kind of dark, so I'm going to add a light, a point light, and it came in right underneath the table. I can bring it up here, and I can increase to the intensity of the light, get a little bit more light in here. And now we're inside, and this happens to have a floor, and looks like there's some books in the background. You can take a look. Need more light to do that. Let me go to, there's a bit more light. We need to really put some lights in here. You can move this over so you can see what's going on. So you can see this is, got pretty lucky finding this, and it was free. This could be a set for somebody's movie. So you can see it takes quite a bit of effort, especially if you're going to put in a lot of extras and you don't get this lucky. And it'd be very, actually, even though this seems to be lucky, no doubt the script would call for many other things that you don't have in here, things to be in different places, and you'd have to modify everything. But you have a very good way to start. So what I'd like to talk about here is how those of you who are in the audience who are watching this might enjoy working on these digital sets that we have to build when we do our green screen films. And so I am prepared to give training classes to help anyone who would be interested in learning how to download these elements, and also to modify them if you would like to go that far. And in fact, you could go as far as you want to. And we would do this through Zoom training, and even by phone if necessary. But and for those that are interested, we also could provide training in the other elements of making a film of this nature, the green screen film, including camera, sound, lighting techniques. And we could also even provide you guidance in the art of editing and compositing green screen video clips. And we use this amazing free software called DaVinci Resolve, which is used by studios. So we have a lot to offer, and you can be part of something that helps the community at large. Thank you for listening to this, and please contact me at the information provided at the end of this.